Okay.
And all right, Megan, it is all yours.
Perfect. Welcome everyone. Thank you all for joining the 2021 Student Symposium Continuing Education Seminar titled Designing Your Future with the Key to Success. Before we get started, please let me share a few technical instructions for you. If you have any technical problems, please visit Zoom support at support.zoom.us. Or you can type your questions in the chat box. The recording of the seminar without permission from ASCE Texas section is prohibited. All participants are muted throughout the duration of this seminar. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box in your control panel. Questions will be addressed at the end of the seminar. Now, a quick message from the 2021 Student Symposium Advocate, Cobb Fenley and Associates.
Civil engineering is vital to everything. It's how you get to work.
It's the water in your pipes and the power to your lights.
At Cobb Finley, we work together to provide engineering solutions that further our commitment to community growth.
Because you can't complete projects like these without collaboration.
We're here to make life better for the community, for everyone, plain and simple.
We've been doing this for decades.
So our capabilities are vast.
Right-of-way acquisition, surveying, power delivery, natural gas, and oil pipeline design.
Telecommunications, land development, construction management.
Traffic engineering, and a whole lot more.
We use the latest technology and analytics to provide award-winning solutions, allowing us to offer engineering services to the public and private sector.
When I pass by our projects, it makes me proud to know that we played a part in making that happen.
We get to build the communities we live in.
Because at the end of the day, everything that we do is about connecting people.
We're not just engineering things, we're building relationships, connections, communities. We're building the future.
Now, I am pleased to introduce our presenter, Mark Stark, a retired U.S. Navy veteran with 22 years where he worked as an engineer, law enforcement, and medical fields. Upon completing a highly successful naval career, he returned to East Texas, completing his bachelor's degree in business administration, magna cum laude, from South University. Mark owned a decorative concrete business in East Texas before joining the University of Texas at Tyler in 2018 as the career success coach for the College of Engineering. Simultaneously, he began his master's degree in human resource development, MSHDR, with an anticipated graduation date of May 2021 with a 4.0 GPA. In his current role as sole career success coach, he coaches engineering students and alum on all employer and career matters, preparing them for jobs, internships, and engineering careers. Mr. Stark also serves as the employer relations arm for the College of Engineering. He initiates and fosters relationships with employers, successfully helping students build careers with Fortune 500 engineering and construction companies such as Kiewit, Jacobs Engineering Group, and other world-renowned companies such as NASA, Lockheed Martin, and Boeing. Mr. Stark makes his mission to help as many students as possible and alum build their futures within the engineering field.
Thank you so much, Megan. And I will look, I'm going to show you guys, this is the first opportunity I've had to do for the ASCE, so I'm really excited to be here. And like I said, being sandwiched between Sean and the keynote speaker, this is a little bit different. I'm going to share my screen with you just because I'm going to bore you with PowerPoint, but I promise you will not be bored. So if I do this correctly, it's going to give you the proper screen. There we go. What I'm going to share with you right now, it usually takes me an hour and a half to teach students in a one-on-one session. So this is all about designing your resume, but building it for the future. And so I'm hoping that you guys will really grab a hold of the information. If you don't have a pen and paper, you can take a screenshot. I don't care. None of it is copyrighted. Feel free. And at the end, you'll have my personal information as well. So we've already talked about the our sponsors. So I do want to take an opportunity to thank them once again for being a part of this and making this all happen. All right, starting out, who am I? Well, she already read my bio. And why does that really matter? And I think Sean really touched on it just a minute ago. It's about your relationships with the people that you make. From an engineering background myself, on 2 aircraft carriers and a small boy, from a security police officer and a SWAT team member. I was a point man on a SWAT team in Puerto Rico, electrical officer on 1 ship, facilitator, course leader. Why does all of that really matter? Because it talks about the credibility. Sean was talking about, as you network with people, you've got to build that credibility. Do you want to be seen as the bad guy or the bad girl or the good person, the guy, the go-to person in this whole group? So what I want to share with you, I'm going to talk about the problems, the solution, and the focus. What on earth is the problem? So right now, I can't really see everybody, but I want you to imagine right in front of you is your favorite company. That's a wall, and it's made up of about 5,000 bricks, rocks, and stones. And the wall to your right, the wall to your left, and the wall directly behind you, those are the competitors to your favorite company. And right about eyeball level, all of a sudden, one day, one of those bricks pops out and falls to the floor. Now, maybe that person retired. They're no longer in the game. They're not working for your favorite company. They're not working for the competitors. But either way, if I have too many bricks in my wall that starts to fall out, what's going to happen to that wall? Eventually, it's going to collapse. There's nothing there to hold up my wall. So I now have a problem. So let's give it a number. Let's just say that I've got 5% of my wall that has holes in it. 5%, that's 250 bricks, 250 positions that are empty. I, as the employer, I have a problem. I have a problem. If I don't do something about it, my wall, my infrastructure is going to collapse. But you, on the other side, also have a problem. You want a job, you want an internship, you want to get out there and make money. I mean, that's the goal of working, right? Is to make money. So I've got a problem as the employer, and you've got a problem as a student, as a person who's looking for that job. And in between the two of us stands the resume. So I want to talk to you about that particular problem, what the focus is. Now, one of the things that I like to share with all of my students is KISS. Keep it simple, students. You thought I was going to say something different. I know, no, but we used to say in the Navy, keep it simple, sailors, and other people use a different word, but we're not going to do that. So it's keep it simple, students. I know this because coming from an engineering background, engineers have a tendency of over-engineering and over-complicating things. Don't do that with your resume, okay? So what you want to do is focus. And because you guys are all problem solvers, you want to focus on their problem. You've got a problem and they've got a problem, but you got to identify the focus. And the focus is going to be on the employer's problem. I'm going to show you how to do all that, okay, through the process of what really, really matters. Okay, so there's 3 methods to get your resume into that company. 3 methods. You probably know every one of them, but I'm going to go over them just for the sake of reaffirming the information. So number 1, getting your information in there, and again, Sean talked about it. It's about networking, knowing somebody on the inside of that company. If you know somebody on the inside of that company, it doesn't mean that you automatically get the job. But what it does do is it gives you a connection to help you, somebody to endorse you, somebody to put their neck on the line for you. And that's the number 1 best way to get your resume into a company. It's about relationships. The second best way, maybe knowing the recruiter, the talent acquisition specialist, somebody, but you've got them through, maybe it was a ASCE meeting, maybe it was a career fair that you met with them, and maybe you picked up a business card somewhere and you struck up that conversation using that 60-second elevator pitch or that 5-minute elevator pitch. But you've met them, you started a relationship, and you find out that company's got a job opening, and you send your resume directly to that person in an email with a nice follow-up email talking, hey, we met at the ASC conference, the symposium. Man, it was great meeting you. I really appreciate it. Hey, I found a job opening at your company. Would you mind helping me at least get my resume to the right people? Again, built on relationships. It's all about the relationships. And that's the second best way, knowing that recruiter, to get your resume into that company. But the third way is the absolute least effective, most utilized, and the most misunderstood method. And that's that one that we are all constrained to using today, and that's using the electronic means. We get our resume all ready, and then we hit that button 100 times to 100 different companies to say, all right, I've got my resume out there. I hope I get a phone call back. The problem with that is that I have to go through first an applicant tracking system. So I have to go through the electronic eyes. And then next I have to go through the recruiter's eyes. And believe it or not, they are only going to look at your resume 6 to 10 seconds. That's it. 6 to 10 seconds. That's all you've got. So I've really got to do some bang up information on this resume. All right. Now, next part, there's 2 elements. So by the way, let's go back. Relationship, electronic means there's no relationship. And we've all been there where we've sent out 100 resumes. And we wonder why the phone doesn't ring. Okay. I'm here to help you with that. The next thing, 2 elements that never, ever will change. I don't care if you are in Mexico, Oklahoma, New Mexico, New York, what, it doesn't make any difference. These 2 items will never change on a resume. Number 1, format. Now, what do I mean by format? Well, think about this. How many times have you looked at something and you're like, holy, look at drawings. If you've got drawings all over and you've never seen drawings before, the plats of a city, and like, holy cow, I cannot make heads or tail of any of this information on there. If your resume format is not where people can quickly gather the information and see that information, you're going to have a hard time. If there's too much visual chaos on that resume, you're going to miss out. The second thing is that will never ever change is the content. Let's just go back to the brick wall just for a second, right? So I've got 250 bricks in there. I'm sure that we have all played with paper mache, right? It's where you take newspaper. Do we even use newspapers anymore? I mean, newspaper, and you put it in this liquidy stuff and you form it around like a balloon or something and let it dry, and it holds the form of the balloon, right? But it's lightweight. If I can make a brick out of that paper mache, make it look just like a brick, paint it, it's got the right dimensions, and I slide it back into that wall. If I use 250 of those, is that going to support the weight of that wall? Not at all. It's empty. There's no content, but hey, it looks really, really good, right? Your resume is the same way. If your resume looks fantastic, oh my gosh, that's beautiful, but it has 0 content, guess what? That phone is not going to ring. All right. So those 2 elements must never change on your resume. You have to have proper format, a good format, so that the human eyes can read it and also the electronic eyes can read it. And it must have absolutely the right content. Notice I said the right content because there is wrong content. All right. And then there must be, again, one purpose. Again, employer has a problem, you have a problem. The purpose is what? Hey, I've got to get a job. I got to get a job. I got to get a job. Well, the problem is I've made it about me. If I will take and look at the right purpose, if I help that, I am a problem solver. If I will help look at that employer's problem to resolve that problem, it will automatically help me with my problem. Okay, so 3 methods to get it in there, 2 elements that never change, and 1 purpose. Now the next couple screens, oh my gosh, you're gonna be like, oh, I can't believe he's showing me that. It's too much for my eyes. We're gonna go to the basics. Basics of the resume. Okay, this is just one of the 3 slides I must show you about the resume. So the first thing that we're going to talk about the title, and I use the analogy of a book. Okay, I mean, that's what the resume really is. It's a summary of the book of your life, right? Now, I had 22 years, so my bookends are 22 years, and in my 22 years, I had 6 different chapters: an aircraft carrier, Puerto Rico, recruiting duty, another ship, facilitator across the country and Europe and Asia, and then another aircraft carrier. Those are 6 different chapters of my life. So your resume is very much like a book. And with a book, you've got a title. You've also got a preface, and you've got a table of contents. And then we'll talk about the community involvement, the education, and then the last point, relevant coursework, if it is even necessary. So let's really quick take a picture of each one of these. Okay, so first, the title of your book. You are the walking, talking, breathing, audiovisual version of you. Wherever you are, you're the book. And every day you're adding pages, chapters, sentences, paragraphs. And when you leave a company, you change a chapter. Okay, now in this particular book, you've got a couple of specifics. You have your degree. When you get it, you can put your degree up there, right? I meant to turn on, where's my little, I know there it is. That's what I was looking for. All right, so you can put your degree up there, woohoo, right there, when you get it, but not until then. You are the biggest thing on this entire thing, so you should be, I mean, the book's about you, so it should be bold, it should be all caps. Your phone number, make sure that it's professional voicemail. The worst thing, look, if they're calling you, they like something on your resume. The worst thing that you could do is say, hello? No, make it a professional voicemail. Next, your email, make it a professional email. You can use your school email, but make sure it's one that you actually check. I mean, don't put one on there that's just your junk mail. That won't come out very well for you, right? Next, LinkedIn. 70% of recruiters are finding their applicants on LinkedIn. If you are not on LinkedIn and using it correctly, you are seriously missing out. Okay. Next, your city, state, and zip code. That's really all you need. Now, again, let me mention something really quick. I forgot to mention at the very beginning. There is no 100% guidelines for your resume. So there's a lot of opinions out there. And I'm going to just tell you what I have found working with numerous employers, engineering companies across the board. So I'm just giving you what they tell me. Okay. Your city, state, zip code. If you're going to do a cover letter, that's a different story for a different day. Next, this next one, authorized to work in the US. Look, I work with international students. Some can work in the US, some cannot. Some can only work on campus. Let that employer know up front where you and they stand. By doing that, that's one question that they don't have to ask later on down the road. They would hate to get in there and start, man, we found this great person. Oh, we've really got them. And then come to find out you're not authorized to work in the US. Wow. Bummer for you and bummer for them. Okay, so that's the title of your book. Next, after the title, you got the preface of a book. Okay, now some people are going to say, well, wait a second, Mark. I know that objectives, those things are gone out the window. Yes and no. Okay, I am a college graduate. I'm just coming out of college. I have almost no experience or have a little bit of experience. And trust me, I've got students that have zero experience, okay? But I've got very little experience. So what kind of a professional summary do I have coming out of college? I've got zero. And maybe I've only got 1 or 2 internships. Is that a professional summary? I believe that it's better to say my objective is to help this employer. So there's a couple of elements on this objective. And I go through this with my students. Like I said, it takes me an hour and a half to go through all of this. We don't have that kind of time. So dedicated, one word, what really embraces you? What are you? One word. If I went to your friends, family, coworkers, and everybody else and said, hey, I want you to define Sabika in one word, what would that be? Right? So dedicated civil engineering undergrad student. Why? Because you're not a high school student. You're not an undergrad. You're not a junior college student. You're not a master's student. You're not a doctoral student. You are an undergrad student. Again, you're telling that employer that you fit in that specific hole in the wall with experience in. This is where people end up really going off the chain or off the rails. Man, I've got all of this wonderful experience. And the employer sitting there saying, look, it's not about you. I've got a hole in my wall, and that specific hole needs just this experience. Save all that other experience that you've got. Look, 22 years in the Navy, but you got to hear it all. No, wait for the opportunity to face when they can ask you more. But right now, the objective is to answer their concerns. Next, pursuing. This is my favorite. Everybody wants you to go back and think about when you were a little kid. How many of you played hide and seek? Almost all of us have played hide and seek, right? We cover our eyes, we count to 10, we say, ready or not, here I come. And then we start seeking for that which we cannot see. We're blindly sometimes going around methodically, sometimes it's chaotically, but we're seeking that which we cannot see. But the second that I see somebody, it goes from seeking to pursuing with laser focus. You are chasing that person around, right? That's exactly what the employer wants. They don't need somebody just kicking the tires. Somebody that's just, I'm seeking for anything. Anything will do right now. No, pursuing. I know exactly what I want, and I want you. I'm coming after this company, this position. Next, immediate position. Well, hold on, Mark. I'm a college student. I'm not ready yet. They have an immediate problem. If you are able to immediately resolve that problem, that's just one more check in the block that they're looking for. The name of the company, everybody knows in engineering, it has a specific order, right? So does your resume. Put the company first. This is about the company. Let them know that you've done your homework. This is about that specific company, and then the actual position. You mean I have to tailor? No, you don't have to tailor your resume. You have to design your resume, your engineers, okay? Design your resume to the company and to the position. Look, I've got 250 holes in my wall. Would you please tell me which hole that you're applying for? Oh, you wanted the custodial job? Oh, you wanted the intern? Oh, in business? No, tell me exactly from the job description which one that you want. Next, willing to relocate. No, I'm not willing to relocate, Mark. Really? What if I said Alaska? No, absolutely too cold up there. Did I mention that it comes with a $1 million sign-on bonus? Huh, whoa, hey, that changes things. Here I am, send me, right? So here's the idea. I'm willing to relocate means I am flexible. I am willing to negotiate. By the way, you reckon that employer wants to know if you can negotiate? That would be really important, especially if you're facing clients when you get there. All right, the third sentence, and by the way, the objective is never more than 40 words, never more than 40 words, okay? Applicant tracking systems, and we can talk about that a different day. Third sentence, additionally, seeking to expand experience and knowledge. You know that those two absolutely go together, okay? You've done your homework, you've looked at their website, you've gone to it, and you said, wow, what else do they do? Oh, man, I have always wanted to work in hydrology on the Gulf. That's exactly what I want. So, additionally, seeking to expand experience and knowledge in hydrology in the Gulf, straight off their website. Why? That tells them that you did your homework. You've researched them. You know what they do. It's the worst thing that can happen, going to a career fair or somewhere and say, well, gee, what do you guys do? You mean you came to a career fair? You didn't even look us up? Do you really want us? Okay, so that's the objective. Very, very simply is to tell them, hey, I'm the right person to fix your hole in the wall. All right. Next is your skills. All right. So there's two types of skills, right? Hard skills or technical skills, and soft skills, which are interpersonal skills. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit the nevers on a resume, but one of those is you should never have columns. Well, wait a second, Mark, there's columns on this page. Well, there's no formatting. Okay, all they are is tabbed over, and there's a difference between formatted and then just having words over. The reason for these being in this many, 9 to 12 is the max, is that it allows the recruiter or the employer to see your highlighted technical skills. It's not all of them. And I could talk to you about the applicant tracking system for days as well, but we won't go there. So 9 to 12 skills as they relate to the employer and that position. Look, you don't need a SWAT team member. No, we don't need that. Okay, you don't need somebody who's got, perfect shooting skills. No, we don't need any of that. What they are looking for. That's what this is about. Okay, it's not about you. It is about you, but it's about them and you helping them. All right. So, by the way, I have had employers just as recently as 3 weeks ago say, look, we are looking for soft skills 60 to 75% more than the hard skills. Why? Because every single person that's getting their civil engineering degree right now is getting the same technical skills taught to them, right? You're getting the exact same skills. So what separates you from the person sitting to the right, to the left, to the right, in front of you and behind you? It's what you can do with those skills. Can you work collaboratively with others? Can you work together? Can you lead? Can you follow? Can you communicate effectively? Those types of things, those things that don't come easy and they're not taught. All right, the next screen. Oh my goodness, here it goes. I don't want anybody to go into shock here. You ready? Oh my goodness, Mark, that's a crazy screenshot. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. So let me see if we can just dissect it a little bit. All right. Again, your relevant experience. Did somebody just cover their eyeballs? I saw that. All right. So again, your relevant experience would be the same in your book as saying the table of contents. Okay. And then all of the jobs below that are going to be the chapters of your life, work life, the relevant life. Okay. Now you will see that the star, if you will, situation is always the very top thing in that chapter. It's the name of the chapter followed out there on the right by the dates. So it's kind of like the highlight, the name of the chapter and the page range. Makes it very easy. Again, we're all familiar with that. Right below that, what was your title? What was your task? By the way, when they ask interview questions, sometimes companies use the STAR method. Okay, so this is just helping you. If you can put it in this order, it helps you answer those questions too. Where were you? What did you do? Or what was your position? What was your title? What was your task? And then what did you actually do? Actions. And then finally, the results. You'll notice remember, you have 6 to 10 seconds for that recruiter to find the information before they pass it on or they kick it to the trash can. So you want to make the patterns as easy as possible. You'll know all of the action verbs are at the very beginning. What did you do? Designed, presented, taught, conducted, provided. I send out a list of 168 action verbs to help students. Okay. But the absolute most important out of all of this are those green spots. I don't care what you did. Did you get any results? I was responsible for XYZ. I don't care. Did you do it? That's the question. Oh yeah, I did it. Great. What were the results? Okay, that's what's most important, are the actual results. Trying to keep track of my time as well. All right, 30. Let me get back over here to my mouse. There it is. All right, so 6 to 10 seconds is all you've got. The electronic eyes, they can screen through there with no problem. The human eyes, the recruiter, 6 to 10 seconds. They are looking for those actions, the skill keywords, and results. When you have numbers, dollar signs, and percentages, those speak out to the recruiter. That says, ooh, this person gets the results. That's what I'm looking for. Think about it. What's the number? What does an employer want? An employer wants to know, hey, can you make me money, save me money, increase my profits, increase my revenues, increase efficiency, increase productivity, improve processes, reduce my losses? Can you save me time, because time is money, and can you save lives? Because realistically, if you're in civil engineering and people are dying because of your design, you're a liability, not an asset, and I probably don't need you. Well, how are they going to find out that information except through that resume, which stands between where? Between you and them. So they are looking, can you make them money? That's what this is all about. And they won't know it if you don't put it in there in the right way. Next, let's talk about community involvement. And I love the way Sean was talking about get involved. Yes, community involvement. Nobody wants a person that is out of balance. And Sean talked about balance. You have to have work-life balance. And if you're not doing anything for community, eventually that's going to haunt you at work. But your community involvement has to be the same way. You have to be involved. You have to be a leader. There's opportunities for leadership in every organization. I don't care how small it is. Be a leader. But then, what did you do? How did you do it? And what were the results? So be the leader, be a doer. Not, I hate seeing a resume and say, well, yeah, I was part of the ASCE. Well, what did you do? Oh, nothing. I was just a member. Really? You're going to come work for me, and then you're just going to sit there. You're just going to sit there and be a member? No, I don't pay for members. Okay. I pay for doers. Be results oriented. That's what this is all about, realistically. Okay. Next, education. Oh my goodness. This is a big one. And I get in trouble. No, I don't really get in trouble, but I'm going to tell you right now, there's two types of resumes. Number one, if you're going to go into the industry, that's one resume. If you're going to go into higher education and teaching, that's a completely different resume. It's a CV, okay? And how you print those and how you position the information is different. So I'm going to tell you now, unless you are going into higher education, your education does not go at the top. Why? Because we all graduated with people from high school, and we know that they should have never, ever received that degree, right? Come on, we can all admit it. There's people out there like, yeah, how do they get through? It's the same thing with college. Look, just because you have a piece of paper does not mean that you can do the job. It's the skills, it's the actions. So let that employer know what they're looking for. And I messed up on the relevant experience. They're looking for the most important thing. This is not a chronological resume. This is a hybrid resume, which is most important to engineers because they want to know, what can you do? Not, hey, well, the last 3 years I've been going to school, and because I had to keep food on the table, I was working for Chick-fil-A. So that's what I've done in the last 3 years. Well, no, I want to know, do you have any engineering experience? Put that at the top, please. Engineering. And then, oh, you don't have any engineering experience? Well, how many college projects have you been? Oh, you got college projects? What'd you do? Tell me about it. Tell me more about what you did in those college projects. Okay, so education. I cannot, proper name of the school. I cannot tell you the number of times I've seen people misspell the school, misspell their own degree. Look, I'm going to show you, I think maybe, no, I don't. I think I took it out. I was going to show you a good and bad versions. But look, make sure that the school is on there. Make sure that you use the proper name, the city and the state. I get it all the time. It's like, well, where's this college? Well, it's in Houston. Well, not everybody knows that if you're applying for a job in New York. Okay, so make sure this is set for locally, regionally, and nationally, maybe internationally. All right. Anticipated graduation. Now, yes, in 2 weeks from today, I do graduate with my master's. Thank you very much, and I'm excited about that. And you should be too, for those of you that graduate in a couple of weeks, right? All right. The name of your degree. What's most important about that is, what does your institution call it? Okay. What's it going to say on that degree? Because they are different. There's no common thread. Okay. Just find out what your school calls it. And then make sure that you got your GPA. Oh, but Mark, I got a 2.5 GPA. Well, okay. What's the story behind that GPA? Why is it a 2.5? Well, because I'm a father of 4. I live out in the country. I'm working 2 jobs and I'm trying to go to school. Great, man, I can understand a 2.5. Is the story good? That's the question. Don't let a 2.5, don't let a 2.0 get you down. Find out how, tell me what you're doing to make it better. I do want to hear that. Tell me about that. But don't be afraid to put your GPA on. If you're not putting your GPA on there, you're hiding something. That's what it looks like. I had an engineering company tell me not too long ago, he says, Mark, there's 4 types of individuals. You've got the person who gets the high GPA and high leadership. Everybody wants that person, right? Everybody, oh man, that's the golden child. But then you've got the high GPA with 0 leadership or 0 interpersonal skills. Okay, great. That person cheats really well or they're very smart. Okay, great. And then you've got the person who has kind of bad grades and great leadership skills. Wow, I'm going to take that guy. Why? They may have problems with the books, but they're a great leader. They've got these other great skills. That's the third. That's really the second type of person that I want. And the last person, terrible grades and no leadership, no interaction, no actions, no internships. I don't want that person. They're not an asset, they're a liability. They can't help me fix my wall, right? So this leads me to the very last part, and that is the relevant coursework. What if, can I put all my coursework on there? Well, you could, but is it important to that employer? If it's not important to that employer, you might think doubly about that. Now, a couple of things I didn't talk about on the resume. You can have more than 1 page, never more than 2 pages, never more than 2 pages. Look, you ought to be able to get across how good you are in fixing their problem. Remember, it's their problem. You're not putting all of your experience on there, just what is relevant to them. So when would I use coursework? Well, number 1, if I don't have a lot of internships, if I don't have any internships, then, and I've got some students, I've got one, as a matter of fact, she's a civil engineer down in Houston, junior, and she has 0 experience. Okay. She's got some other interpersonal, stuff. Great, put that on there. And then coursework as it relates to that specific company that you're applying to. Why? They need to know that, hey, maybe I'm not allowed to work. Maybe I wasn't able to. Maybe I'm a single mother. Maybe I'm a single dad. Maybe I couldn't do this. Or I can't give up this $25 an hour job for an internship that's going to pay me $15 when I've got 3 mouths at home to feed. Okay. There are some circumstances. Know the story and be sure to articulate that to that recruiter, to those individuals. You can do that with a cover letter. We'll talk about that at another time. Okay. Again, so if you're short on technical skills and your page bleeds over, fill up that second page with relevant course material. Again, we're talking about format and content. Again, I already talked about it, 1 to 2 pages, maximum of 1,000 words. But remember, not everything that you did, only what is relevant to that particular company, that particular position. Don't let your ego get in the way of your future. Don't let the ego get in the way of your paycheck. Oh man, I got to get it all on there. They need to know everything that I've ever done in my entire life. No, they don't. Only what is relevant to that particular hole in the wall. All right. I said I was going to get to the nevers of a resume, and here they are. The no-nos. Don't do it. Don't do it. All right. Never. You shouldn't have lines or borders. Wait a second, Mark. Well, what about all those lines that to divide my title with my skills and my objective? And no, because there's this thing called an applicant tracking system. And if you've ever taken one of those tests that have got the little bubbles, you remember when they said, hey, look, fill in the bubbles, don't go outside the lines, keep it all inside the line, and don't leave any space in there because the eye might mismark that and kick it out. It's the same thing with some applicant tracking systems. There's old ones and there's new ones. I've got a list of a bunch of them, okay? But the lines and the borders create visual chaos for the electronic eye. So no underlines except for your hyperlinks, which should be your email address, your LinkedIn, and a personal website if you've got one. That's a great tool, by the way. No graphics or pictures. Again, applicant tracking systems don't like it. No graphs, no tables, no columns or special formatting. No italics. What? Hey, I always put italics on my resume. Right. And for us older folks that have a hard time, pretty soon all these lines start moving back and forth and really create visual chaos for the human eyes. Well, Mark, it's not about you. You're right. It's not. But what I hear from engineering companies, recruiters, et cetera, by the way, they're the first ones to look at your resume unless you're giving it to your friend in the company. Okay, that's different. Two different resumes. Hey, I've always got a resume stuck in my pocket, right? So that if I meet somebody and it's a general resume, a different conversation again. All right, so no italics, no shading, no colors, no I, me, us, or we. What? Yes, your resume is always written in third person. Cover letter, first person. Resume, third person. So if you have a problem with that, get somebody to look at it. Never write your resume in first person. Okay, again, why all these? Why can I not do these things? Because visual chaos, they have 6 to 10 seconds. Reduce the amount of clutter on your resume to help that recruiter select you. It's important. And again, because most of these items can actually harm you in the applicant tracking system. I saw one just, I think it was Thursday. I was doing a resume review. I ran it through an applicant tracking system and it was live. And I said, guess what? You just submitted your resume with no name because that individual had his font too big. Okay, so there's some guidelines. Don't overdo it. Again, keep it simple, students. Keep it simple, sailors. Somebody else can use that other word. All right. Different computers see things differently. So just keep it simple. All right. So here is the bottom line. All right. I mentioned this earlier, but this is just, it's got to be repeated. Here's the bottom line. This is what the employer wants to know from you. Seriously. Can you make me money? Can you save me money? Can you increase my profits? Can you increase my revenues? How about can you increase the productivity within my organization? What about the efficiency? Can you make things more efficient? Can you improve the processes? Can you reduce my losses? Help plug some of these holes? Yeah, that's the first thing I want to do. I want to stop you from losing anything out that hole. Okay. And can you save them time? Because time is money. Everything. You want the job for what? One reason. Come on now, let's be honest. I want the job for the money. I have people all the time tell me, say, well, look, no, I want to do this because I want to make a difference. I tell them, good, go do it for free. Oh, wait, whoa. Now you're talking about my pocketbook. No, you can't do that. So the idea is you want money. They want money. To you, money says a paycheck, maybe benefits, some vacation. To them, it's this list. Okay, but it's all about the money. All right. The reality is that you are designing your resume. You design your resume. And so here's my last analogy. I'm gonna make sure I got time. Perfect. So I want everybody to put their automobile mechanic brain on just for a second. Okay. You all are problem solvers. That's what you do. Another thing that I call all engineers is you all are also the Fords of the automobile industry. You're like, what do you mean the Fords? Okay. You all are the Fords in the automobile industry. You know, some are Ford Mustangs, Ford Focus, Ford F-150, 250, 350, Ford Taurus, Ford Bronco. And then all of the other majors, they're the different car manufacturers out there. They're the Nissans, the Toyotas, the GMCs, the Chevys, the Audis, the Mercedes. Nothing wrong with them. Not bad, not good, just different. You all are the Fords. So here's my question to you. My wife drives a 2000, let me put it this way. She drives a 2010 Ford Focus. I, on the other hand, drive a 2019 Ford F-250 pickup. Now, you know why I used the Ford analogy. So here's my question to you, and this does, you can unmute them so they can give me an answer. So just by the raising of your hand, How many of you think that I can start my pickup using my wife's key? Is there anybody that would think I could do that? You can, yes, no, maybe so. Let me quit that. There we go. Probably not. I don't see any responses, but my guess is that no, you can't, Mark, you can't do that. It's a Ford Focus. Okay, that's right. And mine's a Ford F-250 pickup, right? I mean, they're not even the same matching keys, right? Okay, great. So let me take this analogy one step further. I have a Ford F-250, 2019 Ford F-250, and my brother, who lives about 100 yards behind me, he also drives a 2019 Ford F-250 pickup, white, just like mine. Can I start his pickup using my key? Now, some of you are beginning to think right about now. I want to see it's the same model, it's the same year, same manufacturer. Yeah, sure, why not? And then others are like, no, there's a security issue there, right? Well, but then there's others of you that are saying, no, one key for one car, one ignition. And my guess is, let me take this one step further. For those of you that are saying that, you're telling me that if I had 100 F-250s, 2019 Ford F-250s sitting out here in my front yard, number one, I'd be really, really rich, or I'd be seriously in debt. But if I had 100 2019 Ford F-250 pickups sitting out there in my front yard, that this key would only open or would only start one vehicle. Would everybody agree to that? That's probably, that's right. You can shake your head yes, or, yeah, right. Okay, so then let me ask you this silly question. Why do we think then that we can take one resume and plug it into the ignition of a company, the job description, the position, and expect it to start that ignition? It can't. You designed this key specifically for that particular ignition. You design your resume. Look, the job description, that is the design specs for that job. You're an engineer. They're giving you the design specs. All you have to do is design your key, your resume, and it will start your future. So my encouragement to you is don't be that person that says, I'm going to do one resume and hit the button 100 times, because you're going to be that person that struggles with that phone call. And then you're going to say, man, nobody's calling me. Nobody's hiring. Yes, they are. There's people hiring all the time, all over this country. Okay. So design your key, design your resume, and it will start that company's engine and build your future. I think I have given you everything that I can possibly give you. You can have any questions at this point. You can ask me. Go ahead, Sean. I saw Sean turn on his camera first. He's ready.
Mark, that was outstanding. I wish I was as enthusiastic as you. I didn't get up early enough this morning. One thing that I forgot in my presentation that really transfers to your presentation, and I posted it earlier, is building relationships. And one of the things, one of my key mentors taught me when I first moved up to the Dallas area from Houston, I didn't know anybody up here. So I had to build my marketing and my relationships from scratch when I moved up here, even though I had almost 10 years of experience in the industry. I just didn't know anybody in the DFW area. So he said there's 3 things: to be known. So, hey, just because you know somebody, great. I know that person. I don't know if they're a good engineer. I don't know if they do good work, but hey, at least I know them. That's where you start. The next thing is you got to be credible. So yeah, I know them, and hey, I think they're a pretty good engineer. I've worked with them. I've seen them. They're credible. But the last thing is to be useful. So once you get to be useful, hey, he helped us develop this project and it saved us X amount of dollars. Those are the 3 things, and you got to build up to that: be known, be credible, and then be useful. So that kind of leads into everything you just kind of went through.
Absolutely. Results. Hey, I know this person. Well, great. What have you done for them, and what have they done for you? Oh, well, nothing. We just know each other. Well, how does that help the bottom line? Okay. Yes. Be useful, be known, be credible. Okay, all about, listen, this is all about relationships. Okay, and if you don't have that person or that friend on the inside, and you don't know the recruiter, you are relegated to sitting there and redesigning your resume all the time. So it's harder to go out there and find those connections, but it's so much more worth it because of the deep connections that you'll have from years down the road if you do it right. If you're useful to them, there's 5 words that I would ask you to remember. How can I help you? How can I help you? If you go into the relationship with that mindset, you can't help but grow yourself and in that relationship. Okay. Megan, was there any questions in there? I think we got what, like 9 minutes?
I didn't see any questions in the chat just yet, but I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm currently a student at UT Austin, and I opened up my resume while you were talking to see how many red flags I had. I had quite a few. When you were talking about soft skills,
Yes.
to write on your resume, is there any way to put those on there without them looking like tacky, being like, oh, I'm a leader, I'm organized?
Okay, so that's really a great question. Remember, there's 2 places to put your skills. One, there's a skills list, and it should be right there underneath the objective and right above your relevant experience. But what are they saying on the job description? What are they looking for? Okay, because I can tell you using applicant tracking systems, and if you want to email me, I'll be glad to carry on a conversation, connect with me on LinkedIn. But there's program out there that will literally take your resume, and compare it to a job description. I'll share it with you. I'll show it to you. Okay. And what it's doing is saying, these are the keywords that are important to us. So make sure that those are listed in the resume. Now, if you're really, really good at them, they need to be, and here's the other part. If it's listed in the job description more than once, 2, 3, 4 times, like leadership, then you need to have it listed in your resume, leadership, as many times, because it's that important to them. As a matter of fact, I'd say I'm a civil engineering undergrad student with experience in leadership, right? Because that's what they're looking for. And then down in the relevant experience section, you're going to show, hey, how I have led a team of multidisciplinary engineers, 5 of them, whatever, created the winning concrete canoe. Fantastic. Okay. Or something to that effect. So the idea is the most important skills as it relates to that employer and that job, what's in the job description, post them up there, and then get them into your relevant experiences as well. Thanks. That's a great question, Megan.
Okay, I think that makes sense. Thank you.
I will be glad to look. If you send me your resume, I'll look at it and say, woo, or I'll say, I'll be glad to send you my resume that I recommend to my students. Okay. Now you may say, Mark, does it really work? I'm going to give you a true life story. Individual right there in Houston, Texas, last year graduated mechanical engineering. He was an Air Force veteran, 10 years. So we had a relationship, but he never came to see me about his resume. Never. We'd pass each other in the hallways when I go down there. Hey, how you doing? Good. A month after graduation, he calls me up frantic. He's like, Mark, I need help. I was interning at NASA. And when my graduation came, that internship list ended, and I thought I was going to get a carry on, but they didn't. He says, and I'm not getting any phone calls back. I said, all right, let's sit down, let's talk. We went through his resume. I used that applicant tracking system software I was telling you about, went through it. 30 days later, he was hired at Jacobs, and now he is working at NASA. Does it work? Yes, I have NASA, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, some of these big companies. It's not me. You're doing the work. I'm just showing you how to put it in the right format with the right content, matching it together. I'm going to teach you how to fish rather than feeding you a fish. Any other questions, Megan? Woo, 5 minutes.
Mark,
Sorry,
I've
Sean,
got
go
one
ahead.
thing real quick.
Yeah.
I get asked a lot of times from students, I do a lot of recruiting. What am I looking for when I look at resumes? And I'll be honest, like you said earlier, a lot of these resumes, they all look alike. They got the same things. You're taking the same classes. You got to look at what's going to put you above all the rest. ASCE, put that on your resume. If you've led a committee, if you've done anything for ASCE, put it in there. That to me shows that you're caring about your career, you're caring about your profession. That's one thing. And then the second thing, oh, what was it? It's it just hit my mind. Oh, I can't remember right now.
Always write down your question. That's what it is.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Jenny, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I announced we had a raffle winner for this particular session. I
Oh.
put it in the chat there. So Marco Lopez, you
All right, congratulations.
our next big winner. So we will definitely email you afterwards with your prize. But want to
I
let
see
y'all know.
Sadiqa has raised her hand as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had a question kind of along the same lines. I was actually going to ask the question that Megan asked, but to take it a step further, you mentioned about like not using columns, but I was a little confused with the skills. How do we organize those, and how should we kind of have them on our resume?
Okay, so in that particular area, and I wish, I mean, I could probably go back to them all, but there it is right there. Okay, so this is the best place to put them. Why? Because again, the education is not the most important, your experience and your skills. Well, hey, look, I'm the best person. These are my skills. And then the next section is, this is how I've used those skills. So if you have them in 3 non-formatted columns, and that's what I mean, don't do special, putting either building a table, no, because tables are not read by applicant tracking systems very well. But if you'll put them in this, notice that you'll also notice that they are very well aligned, right? They're aligned. Again, this resume is aligned for visual appeal, but then it has to have exactly what Sean was saying, the content. These skills, they're just literally, you type them in it and then you tab over. Type it in, tab over. Come down, next line. Type it in, tab over. But remember, use the keywords exactly, listen to my words, exactly as they are shown in the job description. Because sometimes those keywords are attached to an applicant tracking system. And if you miss that dash right there in the middle, that could be the percentage that knocks you out from getting through the applicant tracking system. Does that help, Sadiqa?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
All right, fantastic.
Mark, I remember my last comment.
Yes, sir.
Whenever your students are looking for an internship, think of it as test driving a car. You're test driving that company to make sure you're going to be a good fit for that company, but the company is also kind of test driving you to make sure you're going to be a good fit at that company. We've had some interns where we haven't invited them back for full-time employment or another internship, but a majority we do. And I tell you what, when you start as a new grad and you've interned with my company for a year, maybe 2 years, 2 summers, you are so far ahead of the other folks because you've already got the processes, the procedures, everything down, and you are miles ahead. So make sure you really think about where you want to intern in the future. I mean, it's not to say you can't change different companies and try different things, but I will tell you that gets you so much farther ahead at a company if you've interned there a year or 2.
Definitely. It's a test drive both ways. And I tell students the same thing. Don't go into it blindly.
Well, it looks like we have our keynote in 1 minute. So I don't want anyone to miss out at the beginning of that session. Don't mean to cut you off there, Mark, but everyone can see there. Yeah, where to contact you and the email address. And click on over to the keynote in here in just a few seconds. You can find that link in the platform. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate it. Best of luck to all of you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
I have no idea how to get out of this.
I'll end it for you.